Hi everybody, I'm Kathleen Byram, and I'm the author of Conversations with Donkey, A Bipolar Journey. Today I would like to read to you from my new book, Kaffy the Love Dawnkey. That's the tentative title. It was The Angels Cheer When You Face Your Fear, but I changed it because I got feedback that said that people would think it was a religious book. And it's not. It's spiritual. I'm going to read to you from my new book that hasn't been published yet. This is about my husband who married me in 1997. Ralph and I have no idea how long this is going to take. It could take forever. I've forgotten so much, it's ridiculous. But I had to forget, and so I think did he. It started back around 1986. I was 21. Sometime around this time, living in Orleans, Indiana, in a little apartment above our medical equipment business, I answered a pen pal ad of Ralph's in the Friends newsletter. At least I think I did. Maybe he answered mine. It's not important. Anyway, I was immediately attracted to him. But he had a sketchy past, so I was alternately intrigued and nervous. We wrote a lot. He tells me one time I corrected his grammar and spelling errors and sent it back to him. That sounds like the kind of insane thing I would do back then. Then I met Charlie and eventually moved in with him, yet Ralph haunted me. You might say we had a date with destiny. Finally, I wrote to Ralph, told him of my interest, and met him. I still can't tell you what he thought of me on first sight, but I was crazy about him. I was very neurotic then, still am, and wanted him to hold my hand. I'm told I cried about it when he wouldn't. I very vaguely remember this. I wanted him to show the world that I was his girlfriend. I think he was embarrassed by me instead. The feelings of alienation were strong, but the physical and intellectual attraction were inescapable. This could easily turn into a bash fest, but I don't want to do that to Ralph. For one, it wouldn't be fair unless he too could bash me in return. Now I'd like to pause for a moment aside from the book and make a comment. Before Ralph died, I read him this book. He knows about this chapter. He had no objections to it. I just wanted you to know that. Thank you. Ralph was a very strong personality, and he rode over me with it. I protested in dismay rather loudly at times. We fought a lot, and this couldn't have been good for Sean. Oh, I remember an incident I can tell you about. When we lived in the apartment, our first home together, he managed to get 2 jobs, each at my most hated places to drive. The fairgrounds and the airport, where he was a courier, and one night I had to pick him up at a certain time that night. I fell asleep and awoke in terror. I think it was midnight. I drove the deserted streets way down to the area I was to pick him up. He wasn't there. Oh my God. This meant he must have taken off walking home by the freeway. I imagined him, furious and exhausted, arriving home and how much trouble I would be in. Yet something told me to wait. And I did. And eventually I saw a person. And I asked them about Ralph, and they knew where he was. He had not gotten back yet. I waited, and soon here he came, happy to see me. I was so traumatized. I was so afraid he was going to kill me for forgetting him and making him walk home. While living in that apartment, I had a little money from a car wreck. He wanted a boxer dog badly. I felt in my guts that this would end badly, and it did. I spent $600 at a pet store. It was a hyper-as-hell runt. Absolutely adorable. He tore up every beautiful thing in the house, including my wedding dress, which had blood and feces on it. Blood from cutting himself on something he managed to break. He basically ate the couch. He tore through trash. I ended up cleaning it because Ralph would get mad at me for something somehow and refused to help then. We were both so immature. I'm remembering things now. But Dio, that's the dog, we ended up moving to Orleans, and Ralph and Dio to Evansville temporarily, where the little Spitfire caused more trouble. Dad said he was an imp on a cobweb leash. I never forgot that hilarious name. But we lived in the country, and Dio refused to be corralled. He ended up running far away to the highway, and someone informed us via Dad, who told Ralph, "I've got some bad news for you, not me." Heartless. How could he say that to Ralph? I was terrified of Ralph's reaction, and he went totally cold and ignored me for a while. It was nightmarish for both of us. Poor Ralph. Poor Dio. Sorry. Maybe you're wondering if things ever got violent. Twice that I can remember. Only twice. I was trying to get Ralph to help me clean house for a visit from S&D, who were coming down from Indianapolis area to visit us for Christmas. Sean would have been about 3 months old. Ralph wasn't buying the guilt trip and sat in the living room watching TV. I stepped up into the kitchen. Thank God Sean was not in my arms, because a baby bottle full of cranberry juice, that's another story, came hurtling down the hall and hit me in the jaw. He was there in an instant. He felt so bad. I immediately, without thinking, punched his face. This was so unlike me. He immediately became more contrite and then said I could hit him again. That was when I burst into tears, and he turned and went to call his mother to take him back to Evansville. The only other time we got physically violent with each other was when he was chewing me out, his finger in my face. I pushed his finger away from my face. He slapped me. I was furious. Eventually, we got us a place across from the golf course, a place we liked, with room for his dogs, Baby and Louie, to play. I got very energetic and was working at night as an auditor for the hotel, and loved that job. I felt so needed and wanted. and I was going to school in Jasper, and we didn't have money much, so I tried to watch Sean at home instead of daycare of some sort. My college English professor wanted me to be assistant editor at the school paper. That might have been a good turn for me. Instead, it turned out that Ralph said no, I was not doing enough of my wifely duties. Soon after, he asked me to leave. I asked him if I could take Sean and move to San Francisco to live with my parents. Amazingly, he agreed and drove us to the airport. We escaped, I told Sean on the plane. We never got divorced. We've been married since 1997. Things got better after I left. With our relationship, I mean. I felt freer and unable to be manipulated or treated poorly. I found a feminist boyfriend, my first. I began to heal in California. And that is the tale of Ralph and I. It's only a teensy little picture of what really happened. I tried to be fair and make us both accountable for the way we were. Now I'd like to share something with you. Ralph died in May of this year. He was a donor. This came from the I Donor place. It's like a little medal for his donation. This is organ and tissue donation. Isn't that nice? I have this sitting at my desk to remind me constantly of him. And to honor him and his gift. And that is all I want to say about that. I'm Kathleen Byram, and I'm the author of Conversations with Dawnkey, A Bipolar Journey. Thank you so much for listening. Have a good day. Bye-bye.